Hey, Kelvin, Masvita here. Thanks a lot for taking the time out. Question is just how important is it at this stage in the tournament for the team to, fundamentals and just stick to what you guys know best in terms of getting a result?
It's always important, doesn't matter if it's this stage or any other stage, to know what our best qualities are. And it's gonna be even more important now because the phase we're in right now in the group stage, which we need to win. So it's important to start for what you know, and then build out from there, and try to get the 3 points.
Hi, I was wondering, what's your thoughts on the Whitecaps so far? They had a back-and-forth game against San Jose, a lot of goals. What's your thoughts on playing them? It's obviously not going to be a typical Cascadia rivalry match, but it's still, a big rivalry. And, they're needing points. You guys are needing points. So how important is it to get a result? Thank you.
It's important as always. The Whitecaps have a lot of new faces, new players, and they're missing also a few players. So the first game they played was an up and down game, which in the end San Jose won. I've seen some good stuff from the Whitecaps, of course, finishing the chances when they got it, and they tried to play as compact as possible. But in the end, fatigue I think played a role, which San Jose benefited from, and also if you have the ball most of the game, of course, some cracks, especially in this heat, will be there. And San Jose used them to full opportunity and scored 4 goals. And but we don't want to make it come this far. We're just gonna try to get out strong, and hopefully we can end the game by halftime already.
Kelvin, this is Felipe from Ray 1316. What has been your experience so far in this tournament that is not the MLS regular league in terms of competition and in terms of motivation for you as a player?
Of course, the circumstances are not easy for anybody. We had to deal with in the beginning with the weather. For us, also the time difference in the first few days, not knowing what's going to happen with the COVID cases. So we had a lot of things going on, but in the end, the game started. That's what everybody was looking forward to, and I'm happy to after 4 games start playing games. But what you see is there are a lot of surprises going on right now. We've seen it with New York already. We've seen it with us, where we expected to have more points. But you see, everybody, the playing field is leveled, and we've had some issues, and everybody knows that playing at home in Seattle is very important for us as a club, because the history shows it, the results shows it that Seattle playing at home, it's already, most of the time you feel like you're 1-0 up, and here it's different, and we have to deal with the situations, and so there's no excuse. But we're going on to our 3rd game now, and it's time to show our true colors, and this is what when we are at best, on our best. Looking back at last year, where everybody was doubting, especially in the middle of the season and stuff like that, and we showed our true colors, and in the end, we won the title. So we're at the same phase right now, and that's what we want as professional players, to show what you can do when you're under the most pressure.
Hi, Kelvin. Rachel from Last Word on Soccer. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good, thanks. You like to get in the attack a lot, you and Nuhu both. Just what's kind of Ryan Schmetzer's direction for you when you do get up in the attack and then have to pull back on defense? Thank you.
He's giving obviously a lot of freedom to get into the attack and to be involved in it. Personally, I like it a lot because that's how I grew up playing soccer, and yeah, we just need to take the right moments to attack. And normally, if you're a team that has the ball most of the time, it's easier to do that. In these circumstances, as I said, you have to choose your moments more because the heat and the humidity is, yeah, it's how do you say that correctly? It has an effect on your body. So yeah, you have to be much smarter. But we played 2 games already, had a lot of training sessions, so we're getting adjusted. I feel that I'm getting adjusted more, so it's gonna get easier and easier, especially playing at night. And yeah, I like the freedom we get, but we also have to try to pay the trust back we get in the freedom we get. So hopefully we can get some goals and give some assists and be important for the team. But our first task is still defending.
Kelvin, is there anything that you could put down the early struggles as far as chances created and scoring? Is it just down to rust, fatigue, the conditions?
Yeah, I think everything. Is playing a little part into it because first you start training in small groups. You can't really train your parents. Like you start individually. Then we went into small groups, and very fast after that we finally could train with the whole team. But you're trying to push as much as possible, so you can't train into details the parents you want to work on. And then when we came here. Yeah, we had to go straight away and focus on the game. So you're trying to do tactics, but when you have a normal preseason, I could work with the guy in front of me, the guys next to me. I still had to learn to communicate with Yaimar next to me. So it's not easy if you have that short a time to figure everything out defensively and offensively. But I feel like we're getting closer and better and fitter. And in the end, if you put as much work in as your opponent, talent will always rise. So I'm very confident that's what's going to happen, and hopefully we make it to the next round and build on that.
Kelvin, Jade Evans with the Seattle Times. Good to see you. I wanted to ask, with the conditions that you guys are playing in, and then definitely with the testing, how that kind of takes a toll, or is it for you as far as the mental aspect of it? One of the NWSL players had a panic attack and kind of talked about the environment being sequestered, that it's difficult. So I wanted to see if that, from your perspective, if you've come across anything like that or your teammates.
It's always difficult if you don't have the freedom to do what you normally do in your own space. But I feel like everybody is doing well right now. I hope I can't speak for everybody, but for me, the situation at home is stable. I think that's the most important, because if you're far from home, your kids and all that kind of stuff, if something just need to be one small thing, and it can get your focus in a totally different place. And I'm happy that everything is going well at home. So all these little things play a little bit into that, and we've seen it with an old teammate of ours, that something unfortunately happened, and these are tough moments if you're far away, and something happens that you can't control, but you still think about it, and those are the most difficult times when you're away in a bubble like this. Like, you have to think, like, what can I do? Do I stay? Do I go? It's mental. It's mental sometimes.
If I can follow up with that, does the constant testing, is it hard to put the pandemic in the back of your mind to concentrate on soccer because you're constantly tested?
Right now, when I go, I don't really think about the pandemic, because you're in the bubble, you're used to it. Of course, when you talk to the press, today is my second time that and people are asking questions. Yeah, you think about in the area you are right now, where a lot of cases are popping up, but in the bubble, I feel safe here. We've seen the last few days there are no cases, no positive tests, so I feel safe. But as a human being, of course, you're aware of what's going on. You hope your family is safe. You hope your friends are safe. So I think everybody in the back of their heads, of course, they think about that stuff.
Kelvin,
any other questions for Kelvin's got? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Alex. Kelvin, what has impressed you so much about the play of Stefan Frei? I know it's kind of a routine question. He's been on fire these last couple of years, but what in this tournament have you seen from him that just puts him at a different level?
Yeah, Steph is just Steph. He makes the saves he has to make. He's an easygoing guy too. I think that's the most important for me. I like a goalkeeper who behind me who is showing that he's calm with everything that happens. You also have goalkeepers like if they make a save, they start screaming like crazy, you know. And I don't see Steph. Yeah, I can't remember a time that Steph has ever been going crazy. I think that's also a good sign for your defense. Like, hey, I made a save. That's what I'm here for, and let's focus on the next action. And that's what I like. And if you look around, you see most of the best goalkeepers in the world. That's what they have. They are calm every time they make a save. They just react normally, calm their defense down because that's what he's there for, and that's what Steph has been doing since the first time I've met him actually. He makes you feel at ease, and that's very important when you have a goalkeeper behind you, that you feel comfortable with him behind you as a defender.
Hey, Kelvin. Sorry, Alex. One more question for you. How important will possession be in then executing on the chances that are present due to having possession of the ball?
Possession is always important, especially in this weather, to tire your opponent out, feel comfortable. We've seen it with Columbus, these two games. If you play possession, especially in a high tempo, at one time you will get those chances. And I've been watching both games of them, and they play possession based, but also at sometimes direct. And I think it's going to be important for us to keep a high tempo.
Brian, just to ask you about Sunday's game, it's two teams that are heading into this match, both desperately needing a win. Depending on what happens in the early game in the afternoon, Vancouver might have to win or they're going to be out of the tournament. Just what kind of game are you expecting on Sunday between the two teams?
Well, it's like everybody's been saying already, desperate. We're desperate for points. I mean, if we lose, we don't get a result, we're going home, and Vancouver falls in the same trap. Even if the earlier game goes in some way, shape, or form, they have to get a result because they don't want to leave it till the last game. So, you've got Cascadia rivals that aren't playing in the Pacific Northwest, but the implications of the match are certainly very large.
Brian, it's Neil Davidson from the Canadian Press. Thank you for taking the time. A lot about this tournament is different, but I wondered from the coaching viewpoint, with no crowd noise, you're able to communicate more on the sidelines. Has that made it a different coaching experience, being able to direct your players and have them really hear you this time?
Well, I think sometimes players tune their coaches out. I mean, look, if you got a guy that's right in front of your bench, he can't ignore you. I think you at least my personal opinion is you don't want to be nonstop coaching from the sideline. They're not puppets. They are athletes. They are pro soccer players. They are, smart. They're tactically prepared. That's just not my coaching style. I think you can get more out of the, water breaks. If there's 2 water breaks during a half, you can change tactics slightly. You can take a look there. I think the communication aspect is always, the more communication, the better. But it does have to be measured. It does have to be done in the right way.
Thank you.
Hello, Coach. Javier Godoy from Pulso Sports here. How do you see Javier Arriaga considering what happened in the last game? Is there anything that you have been considering in terms of the defense for the next game against Vancouver in order to avoid some kind of situations that obviously can cause the team coming back early to Seattle?
He's starting, if that's your question. He's starting. I have full confidence in Javi.
Hey, Brian, Masvita here. How does one kind of teach that balance between desperation, staying within your game plan, and having a sense of urgency in a match like this?
Well, it's human nature. So a lot of times you try and, prepare them for the eventuality of, the last 10 minutes of the game. You want to tell them, okay, look, first 30 minutes, let's go out and try and play. Here's the game plan. This is what we're trying to accomplish. At halftime, you make some other adjustments. I mean, they start to feel that pressure automatically. We try and address it. I've never shied away from addressing normal human behavior or normal human feelings. I think it's always good to address those. So you get them out in the open and you say, okay, do you feel pressure even before the start of the match? And the answer there is yes. There's that subtle pressure inside you to make sure that you are at the top of your game to help your team win. And the players that are mentally strong enough to take that pressure and not let it push them down in the wrong way, those are the guys that usually come out on top in these situations.
Hey, Coach, 2 weeks inside the bubble so far. I'm wondering, in such a unique situation, being in the bubble with you guys, if you've learned anything new about the mentality of players of the team overall, if you've just gathered more being in the same place as them now for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, you get more one-on-one contacts. That's number one. I think you find out a little bit more about, I don't know how Oscar does it, Orlando, some of the, Kansas City in the summertime. I mean, some of these places, it's hard to train. I mean, you learn a lot about the guys, especially guys maybe from the Northwest. As I think about it, we're just not used to it. But, it's not easy to train in the heat. The training sessions have to be a little lighter, sharper, shorter. So I'm learning that about the guys who can take the information in a shorter amount of time. But it's been good. I mean, look, at some point, it's like a preseason. We were in Mexico for 14 days, so there's plenty of chances to do team activities, team bonding stuff. We watch a lot of film, so plenty of time to just have more interactions with the players.
Hey, Brian, Paul Tenorio from The Athletic. Wonder, when you consider the unique circumstances around this tournament, 4 months between games, the pressure of everything going on in the world around the team, the circumstances of being in the bubble, how much stock should we be putting into these team performances, especially in these early games? Certainly there's still competition, it's still on the line, but there is that feeling that there is a little bit of a preseason-esque feeling. So how do we judge teams in this tournament? How should we?
Well, I think you judge teams by, I think I said this when I was in Seattle, the teams that have those moments of fluidity, the teams that can come together. You look at Columbus, who's, shot to the top of the pack. I mean, some of their movements, their attacking patterns, they've been crisp, they've been sharp. Those are the teams that are going to be successful. The flip side of that is the teams that make mistakes because they're rusty, it's preseason, they're not fit, they have mental breakdowns. Those are the teams that, they're struggling a little bit. So it's vital that you try and get your team to play without the pressure, without the added, clutter about what's going on in the world around them. I think that's the challenge for the coaches. It's very difficult for guys to kind of, okay, yeah, the COVID is out there and my family's at home and stuff like that. For some guys, that's challenging. I would say that we have some guys that, are concerned about their families. But then again, on the flip side of that, comment is, you know, a lot of times soccer, the game is a release for these guys. It's something that they love to do. And when the game starts, they can take that 90 minutes and they forget about some of the stuff that's going on in the world. And it's actually, you know, it provides them with, you know, a release of, you know, testosterone or, you know, whatever they have. And it's good for them. You know, it's good for them to go out and work out and have a tough workout. And they go, God, I'm so tired, but I feel good about myself because I worked.
Coach Felipe Macuera from Rate 1360. This tournament is unique. The circumstances around the tournament, like the bubble, the weather, the schedule for practices and games, how all that.
Felipe,
I lost the last half of the question, Alex.
Yeah, I heard that too. Felipe, we'll come back to you. Jada, I think I heard you trying to ask a question, so why don't you pick it up?
Yeah, thanks, Jada from the Seattle Times. Coach, with you were talking about the challenges earlier as far as the players go. Were there any resources that you guys wanted to implement or give them as far as handling the mental aspect of being sequestered? And even if it's just media asking about the pandemic, you know, kind of maybe knowing that that's around and, you know, the testing, was there anything that you guys wanted to do to help through that side of the experience?
Yeah, a little unclear on the question, Jada, but I'd answer it like this. And I think I heard Kelvin mention it. We take good pride in the Seattle Sounders being a good member of MLS. All of our, you know, we had one case very, very early on you know, that happened in the individual phase. But we actually announce the test scores as soon as we get them. That kind of puts the players at ease a little bit. You know, all the national news, they all have their phones. They all see the news about COVID and all of that sort of stuff. How do you help them mentally through that? You know, that's just by talking, just by communicating with them, you know, saying that, look, the testing, and I've gone on record on this, Jada, I think the MLS has done a great job. Their testing room is well laid out. They test a lot of people. It's on the MLS website. The last 1,200 and some odd people, you know, the last couple of days, we've had 0 positives. So I think in that sense, it gives them a little bit of comfort so that they can concentrate on the games.
Coach, can you give us a hint in the situation of Jaymar and Joao Paulo, how they are evolving in terms of it being starting maybe?
They are going to be out on the official injury report, and I'll let Alex handle that for you.
Brian, I've asked a couple of coaches this over the last couple of days, just about sports science. How much have you had to rely on it in this tournament as opposed to like normal matches? And how have you seen that change in how you deal with games over the last couple of seasons?
Well, I don't think it changes it because, look, there's midweek games in MLS. So, you know, when our game got changed to Chicago, you know, the Chicago game was a day earlier. You know, we played at 9 o'clock at night, then 9 in the morning. It shortened it even by another 12 hours. I mean, that's when your sports science department really kicks in. I mean, that's just normal. If we played on a Saturday, Wednesday, it's basically the same. It's the same program. You're focused on just the physical recovery first. You might get a little bit of walkthrough tactics, something, you know, on a Tuesday prior to your Wednesday match. So, you know, coaches just can't coach as much. You have to do the work in the classroom with film and other vehicles to give them the instruction that you want. It's just not always out on the field because the stuff that they do on the field is just all recovery work.
Hi, Coach. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. It's hard up in Vancouver. You mentioned how both teams are going to be desperate for points on Sunday. I'm wondering what you kind of took from watching the game between Vancouver and San Jose and how back and forth it was. Thank you.
Well, I thought Mark came out and did a great job. His team was super organized. I thought they defended very well. They were effective in their counterattack, so it looked like they were going to, take some points out of that game. I think just as the game wore on, I know you guys are missing a lot of players. Could he make all the subs that he wanted to in that sense? To get fresh legs on there. I think San Jose just kind of overwhelmed them in the second half with their 4 subs that came on and fresh legs. So overall, I thought Mark did a great job. It's not easy to play in these circumstances, but he certainly had his team prepared.
Hey, Coach, Kelvin mentioned that you guys are a team that tends to thrive under pressure or when your backs might be against the wall. Talking about last year, you could even go back to 2016 or some of the Open Cup runs over the years. What do you attribute that to, and do you think that mentality is something that could benefit you in this situation?
Well, it better. I mean, I said that at the beginning of the tournament, so I don't want to sit here and have egg on my face, but one of the best things about the Seattle Sounders is that we always have found ways to win games in critical moments. And, it's been a little bit of a, stigma with us that we start slow and we end fast. I thought we tried to erase some of that narrative last year with the fast start, and then we had some mid-season doldrums. So I think you could say it's pro sports. I don't know if there's anything else I can say that I haven't said already. I'm very proud of the group that I have. I think the locker room, starting with Steph, Gustav, Nico, Raul is mentally stronger than some people think. You never think that the goal scoring forward is that mentally strong, but he has a good mindset. Christian, Jordan, some of the young guys. I mean, we've always had a pretty strong mental group. And so these are these moments that you have to deal with. And are we always going to be successful? No, but we give ourselves a fighting chance by making sure that we don't shy away from responsibility. We don't shy away from, making sure that the players understand the situation that they're in. I mean, we've laid it out there for them. They know what the game plan is. They'll know what changes we need to make. So hopefully we'll have them prepared and we can get a result.
Hey, Coach, speaking of changes, not to ask what you're exactly going to do, but looking back on the video from the first couple of games, what would you put down as the reason for the relative lack of chances, shots on goal, that kind of thing?
Well, I think the first game, Mickey, we created some quality chances in our normal kind of transition mode. I thought the game against San Jose, we even had a couple of half chances that maybe didn't show up as real chances, but some of the movements were okay in that first game. The second game, I think when we messaged the possession, an emphasis on possession, I think we kind of went way over here on the pendulum. I think we were so focused on possession that maybe we lost sight of some of the, fabric of who we are as a team, a team that's up tempo and we like to attack and, stuff like that. We're going to try and bring it back into the middle because possession is still going to be key because it's still hot. It's not going to be as hot as that 9 o'clock in the morning game. I think those are the games that really teams have been struggling with. Because even at 9:30, half hour into that game, it was hot. So these evening games give us a chance, I think, to play a little bit more true to our style, and we'll try and take advantage of that, full advantage of that.
Other questions, guys, for Brian?
I have a question. So, Coach, after 2 weeks into the tournament, what has been your experience in terms of the quality of the game in general in the whole tournament?
I think the games have been exciting. I mean, look, you can look at a couple of mistakes. I mean, I know, in the Vancouver match, everybody was talking about Judson and the own goal, and all of that. And okay, Javier on our team, and maybe we gave up a goal on a set piece, but I mean, there have been some tremendous goals scored in this tournament. There have been some really good games, exciting games. So, I think the soccer fans, the soccer community, the people at MLS, the people around the world, I think you're seeing some exciting games.
I've got one more follow-up, just briefly. There's been some goals, lots of goals by some of the younger players, some players who are a little bit lesser known. Obviously, Manuel Buana got a goal for you guys. Just what have you made of kind of the impact that some of the younger players have made in the tournament?
Good. Handwall scored, and he's going to get another chance to score. You saw the kid from Toronto scoring goals. Benji Hoya scoring goals. So, look, some of these games that are close back-to-back in this heat, more young players. You got 5 subs. I mean, young players are just getting more opportunities, Mickey, and so they're making the most of it.
Coach, Rachel Kruger from Last Word on Soccer. How much of a leader has Kelvin been this year with almost a brand new defense, albeit Nuhu is not new, of course, but he's new to kind of starting, if you will?
Continuity is always something that, we've had here in Seattle. We haven't had wholesale changes because our teams have been pretty good, pretty successful. So, it does help. I mean, Kelvin knows how Nico plays. Kelvin knows how Christian plays. Kelvin knows how Steph likes to play, so that's always handy to have. So leadership takes many different forms. I wouldn't say that you heard Kelvin there. He's kind of soft-spoken at times. He's more cerebral. I mean, he's very smart tactically. And so a lot of his leadership is just by actions on the field. He's not going to be the guy that's pointing fingers and rah-rah, in the locker room and all that sort of stuff. But he's very tactically astute in his play. His leadership in his play has been a really tremendous attribute for our club.